Hey, this is Danny Sanderson, and today I am interviewing Crown of Cerebellum. So how are you guys doing?
Good, thank you. Hello, I'm Lisa.
Hello, I'm Joe, guitarist. I'm doing well, thanks.
And I'm Mike, I'm the bassist.
Yeah, so obviously you guys, I know that a few of the bands on here today have been playing Metal to the Masses in Dewsbury at the Old Turk, so I was kind of wondering whether, I mean obviously, do you think it's kind of awkward playing on a bill with people that you were previously sort of pitted against in that regard?
No, not really. I mean, I for one am looking forward to it anyway, and a lot of the bands that have been on already tonight, I know, they've really deserved the places that they've got, especially World Chaos that's on at the moment. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to meeting some of them, further down the line if that's where it takes us. So yeah, it's fine, it's all cool.
It is a competition, but generally I did it last year in another band, before I were with these guys, and all the bands that I played with, they're all like really friendly. Yeah, we're competing against each other, but they'll still, our bassist snapped his string and one of them jumped straight up to give us a spare string because we didn't have any, Yeah. So it's everyone mucks in to help each other out. Even though it is a competition, everyone's together.
Everybody wants everybody else to do well in it, obviously, because it's like a bit of a Bible of music to us anyway. So you get as far as you get, and you just kind of root for the bands that have gone past you, and you're hoping to get that far yourselves. But at the end of the day, the bands that are that are playing with you are the guys that have also taken inspiration from the guys that you've done in your youthful years.
Yeah. I mean, but in terms of, I don't know whether did you guys get past to the next round, or?
Well, we're on the fourth. We're doing the fourth one out.
29th of April, I think it is.
We've not done ours yet.
Well, if hypothetically you guys were to get to Bloodstock, what can we expect from your set, and and obviously you're going to be wandering around the festival, so what can we expect for you to be seeing at Bloodstock?
Set wise, you'll see 2 or 3 new songs at least. We're constantly writing new songs, so we'll be playing a new one tonight that we've only done it once before, so it's still very fresh. We've got quite a few in the pipeline that hopefully we'll have time to polish up in time for Bloodstock, so we'll get plenty of fresh material out there. Yeah. Wandering around, I'll be chatting to each and every person that bumps into me and is happy to talk to me, and I'm a very open guy. I'll chat to anybody, and I like to meet people from other bands and see what they're all doing, and anybody who's interested, I'll talk to.
It's just nice to kind of hook up with other bands and feel the vibe with everybody really, and just get to that main stage as well and see all those big headliners. That'll just be awesome. Being backstage with people like that'll be a dream come true for a lot of us, but if we get there, we deserve it in its own right anyway. So it'll be a lot of hard work, and a lot of new writing to come as well, and finish off new songs. But in the long run, hopefully the process will better us anyway as a band.
This is another thing that I wanted to ask. Obviously, I noticed when I was researching you guys that you've been in the studio recently. So, what in regards? I'm obviously assuming you're working on new material. So, what have you done in the studio, and have you got any details regarding it?
Yeah, we've done a 4-song EP, which at the moment Joe's just putting all the final touches to before it goes off for mastering, and hopefully that'll be out with at the end of the month or something, round about the end of February. But we are actually already working on our second EP.
Yeah.
Which is looking like being an album now rather than an EP, because I've come up with an idea and that kind of spawns 2 new ideas, and with a bit like I'll mention Muse just because it's the kind of thing they do, but with the album, when we do that, it's kind of themed. The whole thing takes a bit of a theme around war and destruction. It's a bit cliche for metal, let's say, but when you listen to the lyrics, it's not really cliche what we're talking about. It's it's our own take on these kind of things and our own viewpoints. We're trying to get a message out in some of our songs, about some important things that are happening in the world, and people need to know about it.
When you say sort of like getting a message out in terms of important things, is it more like a political message, or is it?
I'd say more a kind of global Gaia message. If you believe in that kind of thing, we're destroying our planet, and the planet is the thing that keeps us alive. So as a race, we're self-destructing, and it's happening quite rapidly, and we need to stop. We need to turn around.
Yeah, it's a point to consider. Obviously, this is another thing I've been wanting to ask you guys. I've asked a couple of the other bands that I've interviewed today about the whole. Obviously, we're in West Yorkshire. You guys are sort of rooted in the West Yorkshire scene, and I've always kind of considered that even though West Yorkshire has a lot of really great bands, they never really get the credit that they deserve, and they never get really the recognition they deserve. So why do you think that is, and what do you think that the West Yorkshire scene has to benefit has to put across?
I personally think that the London and the Manchester scene seem to dominate a lot of the music genres, no matter whether it's metal or pop or rock or punk, whatever. I couldn't tell you why that is. I don't know whether it's just down to being in the right place at the right time, because there's some really great bands come out of not just West Yorkshire but the whole of Yorkshire. South Yorkshire's got a few big bands that have come out of it, but it's hard to say. It's just you can't really put.
I think it's just a case of luck when it comes to York. Manchester is the place that the big metal bands that come over from America or other places. They play in Manchester. They don't play in Leeds. You don't get any of those kind of bands playing in Leeds at all, virtually, other than at the Leeds Festival. But I think the scene. The metal scene in West Yorkshire is more underground. There's no big places. There's a lot of small venues like where we're playing tonight.
Yeah.
But there's in terms of reasonably sized venues, there's not any who are interested in putting on unsigned bands because they're not confident that we'll pull a crowd in, and they just want a band that'll pull a crowd and fill the place and make them the money. And I think the fact that there's no money in it is the main reason why nothing happens.
Yeah. I mean, I've just moved back from Manchester, and obviously I'm used to kind of like having tons and tons of that sort of stuff. So, really, when I was sort of considering it, when I was looking up this interview, it was the biggest thing I've sort of thought that has actually happened recently is obviously Judas Priest. So, do you think it's more like maybe bookers are just like you said, just bookers are not interested? Think it's not worth the money's not the money's not good.
Yeah, I think they just think it's not worth. Why should we put effort into this and take a risk? On this band that they might get a lot of people and they might not. It's hard to say if you consider what the plays on radio on the popular radio stations that kids listen to nowadays. It's all trash, and bands like ours don't get airtime. Full stop. They do it with the Radio Wonders have a rock metal show, but it's on at what time in the morning? Everybody's in bed at that time. It's getting your music out there. We hope to use the internet and you get a much wider scope, but you get a more distributed audience as well. So because your music can go worldwide through the internet, but then your fan base is worldwide. So you could have say 1,000 fans, but they could be scattered all over the world. So only 20-30 of them might be in Yorkshire.
Yeah, we've actually got quite a lot of fans that come from Eastern Europe and Northern Europe, so obviously for them to get to gigs like this, it's just an absolute no-go. So we're going to have to eventually somehow fund it to take ourselves to them. I think that's how it'll go really in the future.
In terms of sort of touring further abroad, because like I said, there's a lot of limitations around from the area geographically where you are. Is there any kind of game plan that you guys have for sort of getting further afield and possibly doing a European or American tour?
Yeah, I think if we could kind of get recognised at Bloodstock, then that'll really set the roots for us, and we will get things off the back of that. I think going into Europe as well, we'll just do whatever we can and keep sending out music as soon as we've got it. You know, we're due to do some videos this weekend as well, so they'll go up on our website, and it's just attacking it at all levels, really, sending it out as far as we can. You know, you can't wait for it to come to you. I think the thing with Leeds is as well, there's a lot of little venues what don't put more than 100 people in, and then the next jump from that is promoters wanted to sell thousands of tickets. There's no middle ground, you know, 400 or 500. I think that's what we're lacking in this area, really.
I mean, that's something I've always sort of liked about this area is it's got a lot of smaller venues that really kind of put across like well-known bands, but they put them across in a good way. But that, like you said, there's a big massive jump from sort of playing pubs or clubs to potentially playing arenas.
There's nothing in between. There's nothing to sandwich it in between. I think that's what the problem is. We need venues in the area that hold like 300, 400, 500, 600 people, and then you start, you know, drawing them crowds in. Then promoters and managers will start taking a gamble on you to hopefully put you on, you know, at the beginning of a set for a bigger band. Then it's like you know, it's like building a pyramid, isn't it? You know, it's just how it comes along, really.
I mean, is there any kind of things that you think that would sort of, in terms of, say, Bradford and Leeds or Wakefield or Huddersfield or whatever, that would sort of, if they were sort of, if something was introduced into the area that would, like you said, there's bigger venues. I mean, obviously there's the Alhambra in Bradford, where they're sort of considering opening it and trying to get planning permission. But do you think anything like that would potentially sort of get off the ground?
Yeah, I think it would. I think obviously that's going to hold a few hundred people rather than thousands of people. So I think that's a good stepping stone to get to that next level of playing to crowds of thousands. So
yeah,
I think that's definitely what it needs in the area, really, whether it be in Leeds or Bradford or Wakefield or Halifax or wherever.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that's the way forward.
Yeah, definitely.
I think also another way to sort of like help the scene, you know, if we are successful, you know, and get a bit of a reasonable following where we can pull in a good crowd and do a big gig, you know, I'd like to get bands like these who we're playing with now. Yeah. I'd like to get them in to support us, because they're the bands just like us, and I don't think enough of the bands who've made it do enough for the little bands like us to help give them some.
They don't exactly pull people up.
They don't. No. I mean, I think most of them just rely on their promoters to deal with getting the support bands in. But like, you know, you've got Evil from Huddersfield, you know, and I know the bear who works in the shop where I get most of my stuff, the bassist. You know, they'd be a prime example for pulling, you know, they can pull a decent enough crowd themselves to do a show and to get some smaller bands a bit of, you know, a little bit more attention.
Moving on, I mean, in terms of obviously I'm sort of wondering whether, do you have any sort of ideas for if you hypothetically, dead or alive musicians and venues, is there any tours and venues that you would love to play?
I think we'd all just really like to, you know, move forward and get on.
An arena stage.
Well, of course we would. Eventually, that's the main aim, you know, to be headlining either an arena stage or a big festival, you know, a big well-known festival. But obviously, we've got to think about it in small chunks. So to even be a support band, first or second support act to a lot bigger band, is where we need to be heading next. And then after that, you know, hopefully.
And is there any bands in mind that you would love to sort of potentially open for?
God, that's
to listen to, you know, Black Sabbath, Sepultura, you know, bands like that for me. Meshuggah, if they're still, I think they're still playing.
It's just there's that many great bands out there. That's why I think festivals is such a good way to go, because you meet lots of different bands, and for each of us in the band, we all have slightly different tastes in music. That's what makes the band a band really.
It
You know,
makes it sound eclectic.
yeah, of course. So it'd be nice for us to start playing some festivals so that we're playing with bands that we all like, really, rather than just one band. Yeah. Because we've all got our own ideas of, you know, who we like.
Yeah. And in terms of going forward, obviously, sort of moving on from the whole touring thing, have you got what the touring plans obviously coming up?
We need to, obviously, we've got quite a few gigs booked in over the next few months, and then we're really kind of trying to work on Metal to the Masses and trying to push that at the moment. We need to get the album out and get it marketed, and then really take it from there. I think we'll probably tour off the back of the second album, probably later on, you know, get the festival season out of the way and hopefully do some of that. And then we're looking at end of year really, aren't we, before we even think about a tour of our own, really. Yeah, it's to perfect, we need to perfect what we want to put out there first, really.
Okay. And finally, do you have a message for your fans who are listening to this?
Thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know.
Every bit of support we get, every new like we get on Facebook or Twitter, every nice comment we get, everybody that reads, you know, anything about us, every hit that we have on any of our social media sites, and then obviously once we start getting the EP and the albums out there, anybody who buys it or downloads it is just, you know, massive thanks, because there's that many bands to choose from. We just feel honoured that people would actually choose us.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, guys, and
Thank you.
have a great set tonight.